there is an emergency, and the emergency is you don't have an emergency fund. But don't panic, I got you. In this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process on how you can set up your emergency fund. You learn things like, why do you really need an emergency fund? How much should you keep for your emergency fund? How do you get this money for your emergency fund? And where should you keep your emergency fund money? Welcome to Financial Creatives. My name is Alex Mwangi, and if you are new to this channel and you want to learn how to master your money and create more income, consider subscribing and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Let's get started. So when shit hit the fan or life throws at you unexpected curveballs, you need to be ready for this. Just imagine, what would you do if one of these emergencies happens in your life and you are not ready? Your kid smashes your neighbor's car windscreen. You have a medical emergency which you need to attend to right now, or God forbid you lose your job. Here's another one. Your car broke down, you have a car tire burst, or your phone just got stolen. Where do you raise this money? Immediately, if you are not ready. And mind you, it's almost at the end month, and you know what happens during that time. You don't have money in your pockets. Now, this is a scenario. You are likely to get stressed up, both mentally and financially, because you did not expect these emergencies. But there is a solution to this, and that is why you really need that emergency fund. You need to stop everything else. Stop investing, stop buying that land, stop that trip, and start building your emergency fund now. So before we go any further, let me make you understand what an emergency fund is. An emergency fund is simply money that you set aside for life unexpected events. That can be any event like the ones we described earlier. Now, here are three things that we tend to do when we are faced with such emergencies in our life. First, you'll tend to run to your friend or your family member to lend you some money. This can really inconvenience you, and in fact, your friend or your family member might also be having their own emergencies. Then you won't be saved from your emergency. The second thing that we tend to do is we borrow money. From where? From Shyrox or any other person who can lend us money now, because we really need to sort our issues out. The third thing that can happen is we tend to liquidate or sell off our assets or our liquid investments to get this money for our emergencies. But do you really need to do this? All these three things will have the possibility or potential to derail your financial goals and also add more stress in your life. So what does an emergency fund do? An emergency fund will give you some peace of mind. Imagine when you don't have to worry about 10,000, 20,000 or any inconvenience that may occur. You'll get to enjoy your peace of mind. Secondly, if you have an emergency fund, life-threatening issues in your life will just be slight inconvenience. You don't have to call drama over small issues like traveling to another place or having a car burst. When all these will in a snap of a finger. Now, the third thing that you'll enjoy if you have an emergency fund is that your assets will be protected. It's like you are insuring yourself against anything that might happen to you. This means if you have a liquid fund needs. So the other thing that we'll tackle is how much do you need for your emergency fund? How much? Now, experts recommend that you should have at least 3 to 6 months of your living expenses to cater for you in case of an emergency or any life eventuality that might happen to you. But there are a few guidelines that I will give you so that you can be guided accordingly on whether you need a 3 months or 6 months of your emergency fund. If you have a 2-income household or your job is a bit secure, you can go for a 3 months emergency fund. On the other hand, if you are on contractual basis and your household income is 1 or you only get paid through commissions, please go for a 6-month emergency fund. Now go ahead and consider other variables that are unpredictable in your life and see what fits you better, a 3 or 6 months of emergency fund. Now you know that you need 3 or 6 months of your expenses as your emergency fund. But maybe you have no idea on how to arrive at that figure of your monthly expense. What you need is to track your monthly expenses for around 3 months so that you can get an actual figure on how much you should set up for your emergency fund. Now, I've made things a bit easier for you. Check my video up there and you see my monthly tracking expenditure sheet that you can use. The second thing that you need to do is set up your monthly budget if you don't have one already. Now, how will this help you? You'll be able to slot in your emergency fund and allocate some money to go there. You'll also be able to identify different areas that you need to cut down on so that you can get some money to fund or to build your emergency fund. Now that you have your budget in place, you can be able to determine how much you need for your emergency fund. For example, if your monthly expenditure is 60,000 shillings, you need 180 Kenya shillings for a 3 months emergency fund. On the other hand, if you need a 6 months emergency fund, you need 360,000 for that. Now, if you have debt, I would recommend you to build up first a starter emergency fund. That would be 1 month of your living expenses, and then work on paying off all your debts. After that, you can go ahead and build up your fully funded emergency fund. That will be 3 or 6 months. Then you can concentrate on other investments and other financial objectives. At this point, you know that you need an emergency fund, and you also know that you need 3 months or 6 months worth of your expenses as your emergency fund. But how do you get this money to build up your emergency fund? Well, I'll give you 3 or more tips on how to get money for your emergency fund. The first thing is you need to cut back on your expenses. Go ahead and revisit your budget and identify those things that are not necessarily your needs, and you can cut back on them and be able to save something for your emergency fund. Here are a few things that you can do. You can limit the number of times that you are eating out. Also, you can check your grocery budget. You can also forgo this month Netflix subscription. I know you are smart enough. You can be able to identify other expenses that you can do without and be able to get something to fund your emergency fund. The next thing that I can advise you to do is you can sell off some stuffs that you never use in your home. Go to that garage and also check your wardrobe whether there are some good clothes that you can sell off. You'll get some money for your emergency fund. My third tip is to increase your income by creating a side hustle or a side business. You can easily do this during your free time, and I have a guideline here that shows you 20 side hustles that you can start today and make that extra income. The fourth thing that I can advise you is to set up a standing order with your bank. This means that money will be directly deducted from your account to your emergency fund account every month when you get paid. This will be simple to you because you'll not be thinking about the emergency fund, but your fund will be growing month by month. Now you know where to get money for your emergency fund. The last part of our plan is, where do you keep your emergency fund money? Now, this issue has been debated for a long time. Oh, I should invest my emergency fund money, or you should keep it in your checking account, or you should buy treasury bills with it so it can be safe and it can grow. But here is my take on where you can keep your emergency fund. One thing I need you to understand here is that an emergency fund is not an investment. It is not meant to make you rich. The reason that we are setting up an emergency fund is to safeguard you from life perils, emergencies that might affect your financial journey, things that might affect your real investments that are meant to make you rich and derail your progress. So it doesn't matter where you keep your emergency fund. My first tip is, go and open a different bank account from the one you frequently use. This will enable you to safeguard that money and only use it for emergencies only, and not for your day-to-day activities. Like if you forget to carry your shopping money, that is not an emergency. Don't use your money for things that are not emergencies. That is the ground rule. The second thing that you can do is to open a savings account with limited accessibility. Now, what this will do is that this saving account will be able to give you some interest earnings. It can be small. That one can range from 2 to 4%, which is better when your emergency fund is making some few coins instead of just lying there without making anything in the bank. The third thing that you can do with your emergency fund is that you can invest it in a money market fund. Now, a money market fund is even better than the two options that I have given you above when it comes to the rate of return. Now, you can get more returns than in your fixed deposit account or in your savings account. Another benefit is that some money market fund will enable you to cash out your money within 24 hours or 1 to 3 days. And with that, you can be able to meet your emergencies without much inconvenience. That's it, my people. Now you have a step-by-step blueprint on how to set up your emergency fund. I know this video has been of much value to you, and don't forget to share it with 1 or 2 of your friends. And until next time, take care.